Okay, so I've got my 3D model starting to come together. Still not complete, and I'll just show you from the outside. I've got most of the windows in and the entry door, and also the stairs. So you don't need to have all of the internal walls. Remember, guys, if you can just keep it down. So again, if you can remember that for your design, you'll most likely be changing the interior completely. So there's no point making all of those internal walls exactly as they're shown on the plan, because you'll be removing those. But you do need to demonstrate that you know how to create a stair. It's possible that you'll retain that existing stair, or you might change it for your design. And again, you need to demonstrate that you can at least create walls by creating the shell of the building, which you will need to retain. So those exterior walls and the windows and the entry all need to be retained. So you need to have those physical elements for the assignment, but then, or for the preliminary submission for the assignment. And so I'll actually just open up the brief quickly. Then you'll also need to have views, and that's mostly what I'm going to focus on now. So you need to have, you can see in the brief, the requirements are to have a plan view and a section view. Oops, gone past it. Now it says design plans. You of course don't have the design yet, but you need to show the existing elements in those plans. And that term design plans really just means presentation style drawings. So very basic level of detail, but all the required elements. No, that's right. No measurements, exactly. So then here you can see again design sections. So I'll show you how to create at least 2 plans and 2 sections. But you need to have at least those 2 types of drawings, plans and sections, and then set up on A2 sheets. But then you need to show you know how to make it reduced so it can work on A3. So I'll show you a couple of ways of doing that. Sounds like a bit of work, but it's actually quite simple, these things, and you should be able to do it fairly quickly if you've got the model already done. If you do have some things to add to the model, you can always do the view setup, set up your sheets, and then come back and keep working on the model, and the print setup's all done, and you can then reprint it later once you've added in those extra things. So don't hold off on setting up your views. You can do that right away as soon as I show you. So I'm going to start with the floor plan. And you can see there the ground floor plan I've just opened. In floor plans, it's called ground floor. Now before I print that, I'm going to set up a new copy of that view just for printing. So the best way to do that is to duplicate the view by right-clicking on that view name. I'm going to go to duplicate view and then just choose duplicate. So that's going to make a copy of the view without the detail. In this case, that's the dimensions. I don't want those in this print. So using the duplicate option is a quick way of getting rid of those extra detailing and annotation elements. So again, it was duplicate view and then duplicate. Now I'm going to go to the same menu by right-clicking on that view name, and this time I'll go to rename. And I'll call it what I want it to be on the sheet, which is ground floor plan. So this is the name it'll have when I place it on the sheet. I'm going to click OK. And then you can see in the project browser I've got a new, or the view name's changed. There is an option to change the view name on the sheet. You'll see in properties over here. Title on sheet is another option. But we'll look at that more later. For now, probably easiest just to give your new view the name you want it to have on the sheet, as I have there. So now I want to set that up before I go and place it on the sheet to make it a bit cleaner, ready for printing. So firstly, I want to get rid of these elevation views. So I'm simply going to select one of those views with making a window around it, and then right-click and go to Hide in View Category. And you'll see that is going to hide all of those elevation views because I'm hiding the category. So all of these elevation views have disappeared. And I'll do the same thing with the reference planes. So again, right-click, Hide in View category. I want to hide all of those. And now zooming in a little bit, I can see it's obviously much cleaner. I'm going to change the graphics back to coarse, and that's going to give me that nice black fill that we want for existing things. And then I also don't want to see the section there, the long section that I've made that's close to the bottom wall there. So I'm going to hide it as well by selecting it just like before, right-clicking, and this time I'll go to Hide in View Elements. Okay, so instead of hiding the category, which would hide all of those section views, I'm going to choose Elements, which hides just the one I've selected. And it's left the other sections. So that's really important, deciding when you need to use hide by category and when you need to use hide by element. Now I can shorten that section line by simply selecting it and using the grip to bring that in closer to the plan. It doesn't need to be so long, and if it's longer, it takes up more unnecessary room on the sheet. And so now finally I'll select the short section I've done, and actually I was going to fix it, but I might delete that. I'll just make it again just to remind you how to make a section if you haven't made one recently. So you should have a long section like I do there, and then to make a new one, if you don't have a cross section, it's on the View tab. You can go to Section and simply click 2 points to draw your section line. It's that easy. Then I want it to look like the other one, so I'm going to use the break symbol in the middle to break that section line, which gives me the extra grip so I can use then to adjust the line further. And maybe I'll make this one a bit neater as well. Okay, so that's enough for me to then go and place that on a sheet. So now I'll go down to make a new sheet in the project browser. I'm going to find Sheets All, right click, and then go to New Sheet, and then click Load, and go to the P drive, Student Resources, EDU DC Interior Design, and then Revit Library, where you'll see title blocks, and there you'll see a whole range of different page sizes. So I'm going to choose the one with, we'll go for one that has a title block for now. Before long, when you start doing more graphical work, you'll probably go for the blank one. So we'll change it to that later. But for now, just so that you've got some title information on your page.
But title block is for construction drawings, or is it also for presentational drawings?
Oh, it can be for presentation. It can be for any drawing. But for presentation drawings, you may do the title information in a graphics program like InDesign. So it's still technically a title block, even on a presentation drawing, even though you maybe won't have the lines around it and the things that make it look more technical. So yeah, you're right. Probably you'd use these Revit title blocks more with construction drawings, but you can use them at any stage. And so here, I'll go for the A2 landscape, even though it's not set up maybe as well as the others, but it'll do for now. So I'm tempted to use A2 landscape below, just trying to think about the orientation. I think actually we'll use that one. I'm a bit hesitant about this title block because I know it's got some issues, but I think for now it'll be okay. So again, A2 landscape below is the one I'm going to use. So then I'll click OK, and I've got my new page. And notice how it's got these details down here. If you select the title block, you'll see that some that look like they can change, like the firm name and the address, actually aren't adjustable. The owner is though. Okay, it's just the way this particular title block's been set up. You can go and edit that if you like later, but for this project you don't need that. So you can change the client, that's where you can put in your own name. I'll put mine in. So put your name into there. And then again, things like the address you don't need to worry about. Project name, so you can put Myrtle Street for now. And yeah, so The screens have stopped? Yeah, it's being a bit slow, yep. Okay, so, and again, the drawing title you should be able to change as well. So, I'm going to call it floor plans, because we should be able to fit more than one onto the page. And then the only other thing I'm going to worry about is the drawing number. So it's A102, just so you can see how easy it is to change that. I can change it to say A101. It's telling me that I can't do that because that number's already in use. So I'm going to go over and have a look at my project browser, and you can see that we've got a previous sheet that was there already, which is not needed. That's AO. So I'm going to right click on that page and then choose delete to get rid of that completely. And now I can come back and change this sheet number to A101. So that's enough for now. Again, later you'll probably change this to a much, an even simpler title block. But just for this setup, we'll use that one. And then now in my project browser again, I can find ground floor plan that I named earlier, and click and drag to then place that on the page. So looking at the brief, you can see that's the requirement, that you have the plan at 1 to 100, even though you might think already maybe you can make that 1 to 50 at some point later. Oh, in properties, you can just change that. So here, if you want to make it 1 to 50, you can do that. It's going to be a tight fit, but you can just manage it. I've done this before on A2. So for doing your design work, that can be handy if you just want to do a quick print. But for now, again, you just need 1 to 100. Okay, so that's how easy it is to change the scale of drawings or views on your sheets. So I'll go and set up another one, just repeating that whole process. So again, starting this time with level 1, I'll right click, duplicate view, and then duplicate. And then you can see with this one that we've got some things coming in that maybe are a bit different to the ground floor. So you might have seen this already, when you have these grey outlines of a different floor plan. Do you know what that is? Or do you know how to turn that off? You would have seen it before. It is the level below, so why is it coming on? It is the view. It's a view setting, yep. So you're thinking the right way. So you probably find it. If you spend enough time looking in properties, you'd probably work it out, but I'll show you. That's good if you're thinking about that. So your view properties over here are on floor plan. That shows us the properties of this view. And so there we've got underlay, and you can see it's ground floor. So we're in level 1, and the underlay setting is showing us the ground floor level in grey. And I can just choose none to now change that, or to not show the ground floor. So that's why the main issue with that view is the underlay. Just like before, I'll rename that view now and call it what I want it to be on the sheet. So level 1 plan. Floor plan, but level 1 plan is enough. So just like before, I need to hide those elevation views, selecting them, and I might use Control and also select the reference plane. Then right click again, hide in view category. It's already much cleaner. And again, like before, I'll hide that section that I don't want on the sheet. Again, hide in view element this time. And that view is basically ready to go. So going back onto my page, this will be much easier. I can simply now drag that level 1 plan onto my sheet, and notice how it gives me a dashed line to show when I've lined it up with the plan above. Yeah, that's right. It's always good practice. If you can line things up, you should do that. Makes it easier for you when you're measuring off the drawings after they're printed out, and then also for other people to read those drawings if everything's aligned. Okay, so that's my first page done. Now I need to set up the section views, and they're, if anything, a bit easier. We just need to know which one is which. So back to my ground floor plan. An easy way of opening up a section view, if you don't know, is to double click on the arrowhead. So in your floor plan view, you can double click to open up a certain section. And now if I look in the project browser, we can see that was section 1. So that's my long section that I want to use. And I'll again hide the reference planes just by hiding by category for now. Notice I haven't duplicated the view. You shouldn't duplicate vertical views. So sections and elevations, they can be duplicated. It gives you the option when you go to that menu, but it's not good practice. Basically because it duplicates the reference as well. So if I duplicated this view, I'd get another copy of that section line with the bubble and everything in plan, which would make it confusing.
Oh, on the plan again.
Exactly, yeah. This is a reference view. So duplicate plans and 3D views as much as you like, but think before you duplicate sections and elevations, just because of that referencing issue. So here again, section 1 is the name. I'm happy with that, as long as I know what it is. Again, I'm not going to duplicate that view, but I'm going to use something in the section that I didn't show you in the plan view, and that is the crop region. So in a section view, the crop region is often going to be turned on by default. So you need to know what it is. It's this rectangle you can see coming up around my view. You might need to zoom out to find it. And then it's turned on and off using this button I'm showing you down the bottom. It's the hide crop region button. Now, I'll just demonstrate how it works. If you bring that in, you'll see it crops the view, as you'd expect with something called crop region. But it doesn't, when you click on that on-off button, it doesn't turn the cropping on and off. What that button does is it hides and unhides the crop region. It's the button next to it that turns it on and off, or that makes it active or not active. So you can see I can have the crop region visible, but have it not active or not doing anything. Or, again, when that cropping option is turned on, again, we can see the crop region. That can be hidden, but the cropping can still be active. So you've got those two controls that are actually really useful when you're working with cropping. And it's a really important thing that you know how to crop your views. With section views, that is something you'll need to do quite often. But in this case, we just want to have it so that it goes around the building, but not too far. So you can bring it over the levels if you want to, and it'll just bring those levels in a bit closer. But just try and keep that crop region, again, going around your building. And then at the top and the bottom, I can bring that in a bit closer as well. So that's a good basic setup for that section. And then this is my cross section. And it's optional to show that in a section view. So it's probably better at this stage not to show that. So I'm simply going to hide that the same way as I hid the other sections by hiding the element. So the most important thing here is that I can see the floors and the stairs being cut through. And I'll show you one little extra thing. You don't have to do this, but it's a good thing if you have time. I want to set the floors to be black like my walls are. They're existing. So I want them to show that way. So if you remember how we did this earlier, by selecting the floor, go to Edit Type, and I've got the coarse scale fill colour there on black, so I'm just going to change the coarse scale fill pattern to solid fill. So all my floors are black, except for the one at the top, which is actually a different, I think it's a roof. So I'll need to change it again the same way, Edit Type. And if the coarse scale fill colour is black, then you just need to change the coarse scale fill pattern to solid fill. So it's a bit different to materials. Again here, same with the ceiling. Got that coarse scale fill pattern that I can set to black.
And if we were to show materials, like rendered plans and sections?
That works differently. Yeah, so we'll go into that later. Yep. Okay, so again, this final floor at the bottom, I can set to have that same coarse scale fill pattern. And that's enough. Don't worry if the edges don't line up perfectly on the corners, as long as you've got that ground floor going under your walls. That's good enough. So that's now, apart from the crop region being visible, ready to go on my view. So the final thing I'll do is just hide that crop region so I can see exactly how it will look on my sheet. So look, in reality, this stair would be concrete as well, most likely, but we can leave that as timber for now. So going to my sheets, you can see I've only got the one sheet that I'd made previously, so I'll right-click on Sheets All to make a new sheet. And then I know it's section 1, so I can drag that now from my project browser, place that on the sheet. And then if I go back to my ground floor plan, because I might not know what the name of this view is, I'll double click on that arrowhead to open up that section view. And then it can see in the project browser it's opened up section number 4. So that's my view. I've got maybe 2 sections here that I don't want to see, so I'll hide both of those. The reference planes I'll hide again. And I'll maybe extend the levels this time so that my levels don't go over the view at all. Oh, now notice how this circle here is not moving my tags. It's because that's gone to 2D, so I've got to use that solid one. And you'll see that will then move them. And then I'll hide the crop region, and we can see now that's looking similar to the other section graphically. So I'll go back again to my sheet and then drag section 4, place that on the sheet. This time it won't line up automatically with my section from above because it's oriented in a different direction. So I'm just using the arrows to adjust the position there when I select the view. Just pressing the arrow keys and loads that up. It's going to be a tight fit, but it should make it. So now, to maybe squeeze these in a bit closer, I need to move the tag. You can see there where it says section 4. So to move those, you need to make sure the view isn't selected. So if the view's selected, you can see if I try to move the tag, it'll move the whole thing. But if I just click to one side so nothing's selected, then I can come back and just select the tag separately. I might move this one up a bit more. Oh yeah, so you just need to select the view and then you can sketch that. So once you've selected the view, you get the grips there with the tag. But to move it, you need to select them separately. Okay, so there we are. So I've got the 2 sections on a sheet that can maybe be moved over even, and that's enough. So I've got the 2 plans on the first sheet and the 2 sections on the second sheet. So I'll go and just change the name of this sheet, and you'll see if I change that to sections, that will come up in the project browser as well. So now finally, I need to make them...
Why does it say section 4? It's actually section 2, right?
No, it's view number 2, but in the project browser it's section 4. So yeah, I'll show you something though. If I change that to section 2, then over in the project browser you can see it changes there as well. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to make them into PDFs the way it says in the brief, which is to turn an A2 sheet into A3. So I'll show you 2 different methods, just to make it hopefully a bit clearer, or give you a better understanding of how scale works when you create your pages. So firstly, I'm going to save my file. When you go to print, particularly when you go to make a PDF file, or print to a PDF file, it can often crash with this Adobe program. So, so make sure you save your files before you go to print to a PDF or print to a printer. Then on the main menu, you can choose Print, and then choose Adobe PDF, which is the virtual PDF printer. So it will create a PDF file by printing to it. Then I'm going to go to Setup, and just see if you remember the most important settings here. The size, that's right. So yeah, that is important, setting the page size. So I'll do it to A2, but then maybe even more important is the scaling option, or zoom.
So you don't do 60? No.
Well, here, zoom 100% is normally the best option. So I'll show you that way. Yeah. Okay, so if you print it on A2, then it is to scale. So that's the first method I'm going to show you, how to do it the way you would normally do it. No, well, you need to print to a PDF. That's what I'm doing.
Make a PDF.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you need to show us that you can print PDF. Show us the PDF file. When you send it to the hard copy.
No, so he gives a digital copy of the PDF. Yeah. Okay, so I'll click preview, and you can see that it fits onto the page. So that's really important. You can check that you've got what you want, what you've got in your Revit sheet showing up properly on the page that you are creating for the print. And then if I click OK, it's going to make a PDF file of that page. And so you need to make sure you know where it's going. Don't just click OK without thinking about that. So here I've got a folder, and I'll make a new one, maybe called, it's Myrtle Street Drawings, whatever you want to call it. And then you need to give a file name as well, so I'll call it Myrtle Street or maybe just Myrtle Street ground floor, or sorry, floor plans, or even to be clearer, existing floor plans. Except that this was the sections, that's okay. I can go and rename that, but that's fine. I'm going to be doing it a few times. Okay, so I've done my sections, but given them the wrong file name. So I'll repeat that, and you can see all of the settings are still there. Clicking preview, you can see it's still set up the same way. So if I click OK, and then I can obviously give it a better name. So existing sections. And then if we go back to the floor plans, again, I can just repeat the same process. And the setup is all there. Now you might know that you can print multiple sheets together if you use this option to go to selected views sheets. You're welcome to try that. But if you're only printing 2 pages, honestly, it's not going to take very long just to do each sheet separately. And then that way you get the preview option as well, which will make it a bit easier for you to check the setup. So don't worry that I've got floorboards there. Obviously we're experimenting with the floor. If you've got a different floor material, that is fine.
If we wanted like one PDF file, so
Yep, I'm going to show you how to do that. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go over the previous file that I'd created and replace it with my new floor plans. So that's now done. If I go and look at the folder where I've saved those files, particularly when you're in here, but also if you've got the Adobe Creative Cloud installed on your own computers, then you can simply find those files and select them with Control, right-click, and then go to Combine Files in Acrobat. That's an easy way if you don't know how to combine PDF files into one. So you'll only have that option though if you've got the Creative Cloud installed.
And what about on Mac as well?
Yeah, same thing, but would work a bit differently. But yeah, you'd have to definitely have that option if you've got. You need Acrobat Pro basically, which comes with Creative Cloud. So here, if you just click Combine, then now we can save that as a PDF file with both pages. So again, make sure you know where you're saving your files. File management's a really important thing. So okay, so I think that's a good approach to setting up your pages, because then if you need to do a reduced sized print, you've got this file which has the real scale, the actual scale that you need, and then you can simply go to Fit when you print your PDF, and then in Properties set the page size to, sorry, where is it again? So I always forget this one. Yeah. So you can do it in the page size here to A3. And it's going to reduce it down, so I should have gone to the other one. But so that doesn't make sense actually
But
because,
that's not to scale.
yeah, I'm doing it to PDF, which is not right. So if we were printing that, we'd have to choose the printer. So I was just going on autopilot there. Then go to properties and choose the page size from there. So say we want to go to A3. You can see it should be about 69%. Right, we're going from A2 down to A3. So that works. If you want to do a reduced size print and you want the PDF though to be at the right size, which is usually good practice. Can you see why it's good practice?
But then it won't print the plans to scale, right?
No, that's right. We were trying to do a reduced size print. That's the point. So, but can you see why it's a good idea to have the PDF at the correct scale?
Yeah.
Right, so that's normally how you should work. In this case though, you've been asked to set up a reduced size print. You can see here, print version of A3 formatted sheets. So this is not a standard practice, but it's something you've been asked to do for this submission, just to demonstrate the understanding more than anything. So to set that up, what you need to do is make the PDF file with that reduced scale. So in here, in setup, well firstly actually before, we can do it all here. So in setup, you can then change the page size to A3 and then use fit to page. This is one of those few instances where you wouldn't have it on Zoom 100%. Instead you set it to fit to page. To sort of make it clear this is not the standard way of printing, but again it's just to demonstrate understanding for the assignment. Click OK, and I'm not going to save those settings. Like I said, they're not the common settings you would use. So now again, if I click Preview, it's going to fit that onto the A3 page. It's going to fit the whole title block, so we can see even the outer border, which normally wouldn't print. It's just fitting the whole thing onto the page as best it can. But that's okay, just to demonstrate what you need to for this assignment. Okay, so that's done. If I click OK,
So if we want otherwise to print it to scale, so we just do Zoom 100.
yeah, that's right. And so here, what I'll do is I'll make a new file. So I'm going to call it Myrtle Street Existing Floor Plans Reduced. And it's really important that you're clear about that. If you issue PDFs that are not to scale, it's really important that you make it clear that they've been reduced or modified in some way. NTS. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, so this one doesn't have that. That's something that you should probably put into all your own title blocks. And again, here I'll do the same. Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, they're fairly simple. So, okay, so again, if I check the setup now, you can see it's all the same. So, again, clicking OK. It will be Myrtle Street Existing Sections Reduced. Okay, so now I can use the same method to combine those back into my file browser. I've just used Control to select the two files. Right click, combine files in Acrobat, combine, and then save as. Make sure you know where you're saving them, and combined, existing combined, reduced. There we go. And notice how there's one thing I didn't point out there that you can see pretty clearly still, even in the PDF. The referencing. It's done for you. So if you've been wondering how to put numbers into those section bubbles, you can't, because Revit does it for you. No, no, Revit does it automatically. So you can't type in numbers, but once you put those sections onto a sheet, the numbers are there for you automatically. So that's a great thing. So if I go to my next page, this is obviously
But
a...
if I wanted to name my section A instead of a number.
Yeah, you can put that in.
Oh,
Yep. So here, this would come up as A instead of 1, and that would go onto the section reference here with A. Yep. So you can do that. So that's it. So that's what you need. The 2 sheets with the plans, maybe on the first one, the sections on the second one. Unless you've got any questions, give some time to do that.